Hello, good afternoon. As many people in this conference, I am a woman of faith. I believe in God and I am part of the church. But even beyond, I grew in a church. My father was a priest in a very conservative church in Bolivia. Since I was little, I heard the teachings about sexuality. We were summarized in 2 points. One, sex. It's only when you're married and only with your husband. I believed in those principles, but I tried to follow them. But when I arrived to adolescence, it wasn't easy to live these principles. When I was 18, I survived to a rape by two strange men who attacked me when I was walking back my home at 3 a.m. And 2 years later of this rape, I discovered that I am HIV positive. I think you remember this virus, HIV. You may remember that in the news we saw people who died as corpses or horrible corpses. That was the HIV in the year 2000, the year where I discovered my condition. There were no medications. There was only stigma and death. I discovered a small group, and we organized to provide mutual support, like giving mutual help and taking some medication to relieve diarrhea. But it was basically how to die in the best possible manner, because at that time we couldn't consider the possibility of living with HIV until I arrived to one point and we were less in my living room. One day we were 20, then 18, then 15, and we said, oh my God, we're going to sit here and wait for our time, our position in the line to avoid to get our death. So we decided to do something different. We organized a network and we did a judgment before the Inter-American Commission of Human Rights against the Bolivian government. We demanded access to medications for the Bolivian government, and we won that petition. But so that the government could give us this medication, we require a public face providing pressure. My peers wanted me to be that public face, and I wanted to fight for my life and that of my peers, but I didn't want the church to find out that I had HIV. And this is because only 1 year before I knew about my diagnosis of HIV, the church reacted very bad against another woman, the daughter of a pastor, who was pregnant and then she aborted. She was criminalized and she decided to leave home and never come back. And the other pastor abandoned the leadership eventually. So I thought, if the people from the church reacted like that against that woman that was pregnant, what's going to happen to me if I have the HIV? So that was really associated to what we call the sexual immorality and promiscuity. And today it's even like that. But as we were talking about the struggle for life, we decided to talk about my diagnosis to the church. One day after the preach, I went to the first row and I spoke to everyone. I said that I couldn't live the principles that I was taught. I told them that I survived to sexual harassment, and I told my people that I had HIV. I asked me if I accepted me or they rejected me. On the opposite, the church reacted positively, and with much love they came to hug us and to say that we were the ones who had to forgive them because they didn't suffer with us that experience. in the church, everyone is taught that you are the body of Christ, and if one part suffers, the entire part suffers. And they say that we have not been together. So I felt relieved. I was able to go to the television, to do interviews in the radio, until we achieved the medications for people with HIV. And people with HIV started to stop dying. I was renowned. I was invited to different churches in Latin America and then in the entire world. Today, I work in an international organization called the Worldwide Council of Churches. It's based on Geneva, Sweden, and we work with Orthodox Church. Also, work with other kind of churches, evangelical. And what I do in this Worldwide Council is to send this message. I lead the program Sexual and Reproductive Health and Pandemic. I try to get people together to talk about sexuality with honesty. This is why I know that when we have the value of sharing our testimony on sexual and reproductive health, and the church leaders and the community in general, they have the value, the courage of listening with love. That's when we see the transformation. What transformation I mean? Transformation from the lack of information until up to knowledge, from stigma to acceptance, from inequity to justice, and from discrimination to love. Thank you very much for your attention.